Hello everybody, what is going on? My name is Steggy, and this is what's new this week. Now, one of the biggest news stories to break out this week, in my opinion, is the news that Logitech has acquired ASTRO Gaming for $85 million. Now, this is a bit of a surprise considering that ASTRO Gaming and Skullcandy were just acquired last year in August of 2016 by Mill Road Capital for $196 million. So, this is the third time that ASTRO Gaming has actually been acquired. They were acquired by Skullcandy back in 2011 for $10.8 million. So, you know, going from 2011 to this year, 10 million to 85 million is pretty big. So a lot of people are speculating what this is necessarily going to mean for the market. If you remember last week, with Razer filing their IPO, it's kind of been announced that the headset market is $1 billion market. And not to say that, you know, the premium headsets own that entire space. They're actually a small chunk compared to the cheaper headsets. But this is really interesting because Logitech and ASTRO Gaming were both very big players in the headset space. So now that there's this new marriage, they could be the biggest player in the headset space right now. So when Skullcandy acquired ASTRO Gaming, there was basically not a whole lot of change from the outside eye. ASTRO remained autonomous to that company. The biggest thing that we saw from that acquisition was ASTRO Gaming contributing to the Skullcandy Slayer and Player headsets from Skullcandy, which did not end up doing too well. But other than that, ASTRO was able to kind of stick with their the headsets that they've been releasing. There wasn't anything crazy that came out of that. Now, this Logitech acquisition seems very much long road strategy. So with Logitech, they've kind of situated themselves as like, they have a wide range of products. They have cheap mice, very cheap mice, and then they have some more expensive mice. And they've been doing this with their other products like the keyboards as well, and even some headsets. But ASTRO has always been known as that premium headset brand. So could Logitech get some contribution from ASTRO on their headsets, or will they maybe relegate their premium line of stuff to all ASTRO Gaming? Will we see ASTRO Gaming mice, and maybe those mice are over $100? I'm not sure. Will I finally see a set of ASTRO speakers, like a nice set of 2.1 gaming speakers? I hope so, but we'll have to see. These are just some of the products that Logitech already makes. They have their Z50 something surround speakers. They make the mice and keyboards and everything like that. So it will be interesting to see if there is any kind of give and take between that, or if they're gonna keep ASTRO to the console market while they concentrate on the PC market. But this is really exciting news no matter what, just because this is now going to be such a dominant force in just the gaming peripheral space. So I'm really excited to see what comes of it. Another big piece of news this week is the Overwatch League has sold its first 7 teams to different entrepreneurs throughout the globe. The most notable of which, in my opinion, is Robert Kraft. Robert Kraft owns the New England Patriots, so being from New England myself, I'm super excited to see this because I like the whole prospect of a Boston Overwatch team, and I think that's really cool. There are, of course, other entrepreneurs who have the other teams in cities like Miami, San Francisco, I think Shanghai or something like that. But some of the different entrepreneurs include the owner of NRG Esports as well as the owner of Immortals. So it's definitely kind of a variety of different owners, but this is very interesting because this is the first real push to take esports into the more traditional sports domain. So if you know football, they all have their city teams. And, you know, when they're playing for a championship, it's not like a prize pool. Everything so far has been, in esports, has been tournaments for a prize purse of, you know, $250,000, $1 million, $9 million if you're talking about the invitational. So, you know, it'll be interesting to see if sponsorships will ramp up for these esports teams. If they're still going to be competing for cash, or if it's going to be bigger salaries like you would see in football or basketball, etc. So it's really interesting to see how they'll take this. A lot of the people are really excited about the prospect of this type of league because they think that, you know, maybe with the home cities or the home field advantage or whatever, people will have that sort of like pride and root for the teams that are coming from their areas, kind of like how I would root for the Boston Overwatch team because that's where I'm originally from. I think it makes a lot of sense. I think that I have actually seen it myself. You know, I was at EVO last year, and when L.I. Joe got, I want to say, either 6th or 4th place, but when he was basically battling it out and he was the last American left, everybody went wild for him. He was America's adopted son at that point. There's a lot of patriotism, and I know that's at the national level, which is a lot more prideful than maybe at the city level, so it'll be interesting to see what happens, but it's also interesting to see if this could possibly combat, like, the optic effect. I don't know if that's actually a phrase or anything, but basically, I follow a lot of Call of Duty, and Optic Gaming is the biggest team in Call of Duty. They have such a huge fan base, and it's to the point that if Optic isn't in the finals of a tournament, the energy of the audience is like dead, because most of the people that are going there are rooting for Optic or are rooting for FaZe. So if neither of them are in the finals, you basically have a dead crowd from any Optic match compared to a finals without an Optic. It's just night and day. So it'll be interesting to see if these home city type of formats for esports will sort of prevent that type of Titan level of fandom from happening, so you have kind of like a balance of sports, especially when you're dealing with like a home and away kind of thing. So I'm really interested to see how the rest of the details of this league are going to pan out, because it could be promising. In YouTube news, a giant YouTuber by the name of SkydoesMinecraft recently announced that he's quitting his channel. Now, he is not quitting the internet, period. He is just quitting this particular channel. It's a big deal, though, because this channel has over 12 million subscribers. In his video, he explained that basically he kind of typecasted or pigeonholed himself into this brand, into this game, Minecraft, and he's been doing it for so long that he's been burned out on it. And this is not that uncommon. There are plenty of YouTubers who will kind of favor one game because that's what can propel you to get a huge following. Call of Duty is a great example of this. But the problem is that, one, if you're dealing with a game that's been out as long as Minecraft, yes, you can get burned down on it. Or in Call of Duty's case, if Call of Duty has a weak release, then the viewership is also weak during that period, and that can really hurt your channel and maybe kind of steer you towards other directions. But in the case of Minecraft, what's interesting is the biggest viewership comes from the younger viewers. So basically, you have to tailor your brand in order to accommodate those younger viewers. So you basically have to be PG or even G in some cases. And in SkydoesMinecraft's case, he doesn't want to be PG. He wants to be able to express himself. So he has announced that he's turning his 12 million sub YouTube channel into more of a community YouTube channel where people can submit videos to be published, and then there's actually going to be a rev split, which is really smart because you don't want to just like leave money on the table like that, and it's actually kind of almost giving back to the community in a way because it could build somebody up to be the next SkydoesMinecraft. So it's a classy way to exit. And so his new channel, Net Nobody, he says that he's going to be doing the content that he wants to do. He's not going to be limiting himself, and it's already got 1.2 million subs, so he's not doing too bad. But the people who want to follow him can, but he's not just going to turn his previously kid-friendly channel into a rated R channel that, you know, might be upsetting for some viewers if they kind of weren't in on the loop. So that's really interesting. Wish him the best of luck. But I guess it's kind of like a lesson out there if you are starting a YouTube channel. While it might be easier to kind of focus on that one kind of game because that's how you build up your community, if you start seeing that you have traction, you might want to start introducing different types of content just so you can kind of set the expectation that, hey, I'm not all about this game 24/7, you know, whatever, because, you know, people might want to tune in more for that content versus you yourself. It's just something to keep in mind. So in a smaller piece of tech news, camera manufacturer Red has announced that they're going to be making a smartphone. Now, if you don't know who Red is, they make some of the highest end cameras on the market today for video. So these cameras are used for blockbuster movies, TV shows, and if you're Linus Tech Tips, for your YouTube channel. Now, these bodies can range from $15,000 all the way up to $50,000, and that's before you start adding on the add-ons, which can make your system upwards of $100K. So there are two details that we know about this phone right now. So it's not fully developed right now. One is the price is going to be $1,200, which is expensive for a phone, but when you're dealing with a company that sells $20,000 parts, $1,200 doesn't seem so bad. So the second detail that we know about this phone is that it's going to be using a holo display. Now, they haven't really touched upon exactly what it will mean. It's just a hydrogen holo display. So a lot of people are making connections to the new 3DS or to the Amazon Fire Phone. Red has specifically mentioned the Fire Phone and the lenticular technology behind that, and they say that this doesn't hold a candle to what they're working on. So it's really interesting. I'm more interested in what the camera is going to be, though, because I love photography, I like to shoot, and I like to have a smartphone with a capable camera. So when Nokia years back had that 1020 camera, I actually sucked it up and I owned a Windows phone just because I wanted that 40 megapixel smartphone camera, and it was sweet. Windows was not for phones. I did not like it. But anyway, if this is a really good camera on this phone, $1,200 might not be the worst thing in the world, especially if you can get it on contract on Verizon or something where it's like $50 extra a month. Like, that's doable. So, like I said, the story's not fully developed yet on necessarily all of the details of the product, but it's something definitely to keep an eye out for. So the last thing I wanted to talk about today is that at the time of filming, today is July 12th, 2017, and today is where a ton of companies have banded together to defend the internet and basically defend net neutrality. So if you don't know what net neutrality is, I've got a couple of links down below in the description panel, but basically the FCC is looking to pass on some governing power over the internet to internet service providers like Comcast, Verizon, AT&T, etc., which basically could oppress the internet. So, you know, there's a bunch of different scenarios that people have been bringing up, but basically, you know, if I were a website and I weren't paying these ISPs a certain fee or extra fee, my website could have slower traffic to you than another website. Like Verizon.com would get priority over my website, which is just, can open a can of worms, basically. And there are a lot of countries already that don't have an open internet, and we can see sort of the ramifications there, and we don't want to be lumped into that. And what's kind of ironic is, you know, with all the social media stuff that's been put out today of all these companies supporting net neutrality, Comcast themselves have been promoting posts of theirs to say, we're on your side, we don't want to slow you down, we just want our fingers on the trigger, but we promise we won't pull it. Which is kind of like a shit thing. You know, it's just sort of like rubbing it in, so that's a little bit weird. But basically, I really implore you to just check out the information on net neutrality and basically do your part. There are FCC comments that you can submit to basically say, hey, we want an open internet, please don't censor it. So please check that out. So I think that'll cover everything this week in the news. So I want to thank you guys for watching. And again, because this is a new series of mine, if you have any suggestions at all, no matter how big or small, please leave them down in the comments below and let me know what you think on some of these stories, because, you know, it's a pretty exciting week for tech news. So once again, my name is Steggy, and until my next video, I'll catch you guys later.